I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Apologize for starting a few minutes late. We just came from another meeting. So with that, we're going to get right into the agenda here tonight. We do have the fire chief, new fire chief from Tequesta here to give a quick presentation for those of you who pulled in. You saw the ladder truck. I assume that's the new ladder truck that you got most recently. And so we're going to spend a few minutes. The chief's going to introduce himself, and we'll welcome to the firefighters, paramedics back in the back there. Thank you for your service. Thank you, everything you do to keep our town safe.
My voice carries, so I hope you can hear me. Please let me know. Thank you so much.
If you don't mind,
Yes.
chief, using the microphone, because we do have some folks up there that
Okay.
makes it a little bit easier on screen.
I
Thank
didn't
you.
want to turn my back to anybody. I apologize to you in advance. So, you got it. All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having me.
It's on. Is it on?
It is on,
No, ready? Better?
he's turning it.
It doesn't sound that way.
No?
They're
Just
going to
carry.
turn it on.
Yes.
Project.
Not a problem.
All right.
So thank you very much for having me. I am John McLaughlin. I'm the fire chief of Tequesta Fire Rescue. I've been there for, it says like since lunch on my name tag, but I've been there about 3 months, and I'm gonna let my three individuals introduce themselves, starting.
My name is Lieutenant Andre Dodd. I've been doing for 25 years.
Wow.
Wow. Thank you.
Firefighter, paramedic, I've been for 19 years.
Wow, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Tequesta Fire Rescue proudly providing fire and EMS services to the Jupiter Inlet Colony since about 1993, when we first became a fire rescue agency. Just briefly about myself, I hate talking about myself, so bear with me. My wife said I should be proud of my accomplishments, but it's very, very difficult. Over 30 years in the fire service, the bulk of it with the city of Fort Lauderdale. I was the district chief there as well, and I was the chief of training and special ops. I was with FEMA, with the Urban Search and Rescue Task Force for almost 20 years, and some of my greatest achievements, I was able to go to the World Trade Center. I was at the earthquake in Haiti, and I was at the building collapse in Surfside. So I've been able to do some incredible things, and it's timing and geography is how my life has really worked, and I've just been very fortunate. So I am a certified paramedic in the state of Florida. I'm a fire inspector too. I'm also a fire investigator, which we do have a new policy. So we will have a on-duty fire investigator, which will be me in the unlikely event of a fire. I'm a fire officer 3, working on my fire officer 4, and I'm a Florida safety officer. So I do have a lot of education behind me. I also have degrees from St. Thomas University and the University of Miami. Please don't throw anything at me if you're a Gator or a Seminole. I apologize in advance. So about us. Daily staffing of 2 company officers. We will have a captain and a lieutenant on duty at all times. And we will have a minimum of 5 or 6 firefighters 24/7, 365 days a year. And that's going to run at a 1 ladder company, 2 engines, 2 rescue companies, which are the ambulances, 1 chief vehicle, which you saw out there, and then we have 2 reserve vehicles. And our ladder truck is out there as well, and it's beautiful, and it was new when I got here, so that was in place, and I'm very fortunate for that to be done before I arrived. We run approximately 1,400 calls for service per year with fire suppression, EMS, and water rescue, and we have a minimum of 2 water rescue specialists, and 2 of them are behind me right now, in the event of a water incident. We also provide fire prevention, which is day-to-day inspections, fire finals, fire investigation, and plans review within the village. And if there is a commercial, we are doing a commercial occupancy in here as well. I'm also the emergency manager and the fire marshal, so lots of hats. Emergency management is ramping up because we are getting into hurricane season very soon. And then we do a lot of community outreach and public education. Some of our training accomplishments, each firefighter, including the captains and the lieutenants, get approximately 240 hours per year annually. So that's 24, so about 10 hours per month. So it's a lot and it's very difficult to do. We have agreements with Palm Beach County and I'm working on an agreement with the upcoming Jupiter Fire Rescue and with Martin County as well. So we're able to get out of service and get our folks trained. Our EMS, we're usually about 50 hours per annual for the paramedics and the EMTs, which we have 3 EMTs and 21 paramedics, 22 actually with me. 40 hours of water rescue training and about 32 per inspector, and we have 8 inspectors as well, including myself, so 9. So lots of training, and that's what we do. We train, we do a lot of community outreach in between rental calls. Some of our special events, some of you may have been to the chili cook-off. I have not had the pleasure yet to go, but this year I'm being told I must go. We had an Easter egg hunt for the kids recently. How many showed up? 150 kids? Straight chaos. Never seen anything like it in my life. And then we also have a Christmas event where they have taking pictures with Santa and the whole bit. And the community outreach I've seen from a boutique agency like this is nothing like I've ever seen anywhere else. So we definitely do a lot of community outreach, and my hat's off to these guys because for 24 people, they get out there and do stuff and they're seen in the community, and they have the respect and the admiration of everybody that I've talked to. So a little bit about hurricane preparedness and emergency management, which we also are going to do in conjunction with the inlet colony. The 25 hurricane season starts June 1st and will run through the 30th of November. This year, we are predicting 13 to 18 named storms, so a very active season. This week is actually National Hurricane Preparedness Week. And that runs through the 10th, and that's followed up by the Governor's Hurricane Conference. I'm not sure if any of you will be there. Please look for me. If you are, May 11th through the 16th, it's a great educational opportunity for emergency management and disaster preparedness and response type people. Let's see to that next picture. So that's Hurricane Milton. As we all know, it came from the West Coast and it kind of died down before it made landfall. But what happened with Milton was unique compared to any other storm we've had in the past however many years because of the tornadoes that spun off of it. And I have a few details about it. Go. Sorry, the text is very small in there. So there was 45 tornadoes that made landfall in the state of Florida. 3 of them were EF3 tornadoes. They've changed the way they're categorized. The enhanced Fujita scale is the new way, and it predicts damage as well as wind speed. So just to give you an example, a category 3 is 136 to 165 miles. So in St. Lucie, they had one that led to 14 injuries and 6 fatalities. So no one can really predict what these tornadoes are going to do. So we will be prepared. And I'm taking all that into consideration when it comes to staffing and preparedness and post impact. One of the first places we're going to send people is here to the colony to make sure that there's no issues. So one of our first, what I call it's like a flying squad for better term. They're going to have our 4-wheel drive pickup truck and 4 people will come over here and they will drive the entire colony immediately when we're able to get back on the road. So once winds go below 40, we're able to take the trucks out, and this is one of the first places we're coming. And so let's see, this is just a couple of screens, and then I'm gonna let you guys get on with your meeting. There you go. Somewhere between 120 and 130 tornado warnings throughout the state of Florida. You can see where the bulk of them are. Where the hurricane was coming, there wasn't a lot of tornado activity, but over here there certainly was. We had 36 that actually touched down that were either 1s, 2s, or 3s, which anything over 81 miles an hour. So a lot of activity. And if this is from the Boston Globe, so like I said, the reports were pretty accurate. We're 120 to 130, and that's all the way up there. So we're getting the right information, and but we will be prepared, and I will make sure that you all are taken care of. Any questions? I'm sorry, I was trying to be quick for you all. Thank you very much. You all were very kind.
Thank you very much. Appreciate everything you do to
Thank you.
keep us safe. Thank you and welcome to the community.
Thank
Yeah,
you
thank
very
you.
much.
So does anybody have, I have public comments that's coming up. So does anybody have a card they want to hand me? I have a couple already. I want to make sure there's no others. Okay. All right, we'll get into the commission and staff reports. Town manager, I know you have a couple things you'd like to discuss.
Thank you. And before they leave, thank you, Chief. We've already been in discussion
Good.
about finding other opportunities to collaborate, including at our community events, bringing the trucks out for the children. And the chief was immediately on board when we met the first time. So
Great.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again, guys. Appreciate it.
My written report is provided in the backup. I'll highlight a few things. The Resilience Action Plan, we received 3 bids. We will be reviewing it next week. The chair of the Building and Zoning Committee, former Mayor Hosafar, and Joe Chasson from the Jupiter Inlet District will serve on our committee and make a recommendation that I will bring forward to the town commission at a future meeting. So
Just out of curiosity, maybe the fire chief should be considered as well.
I can see if he wants, try to keep it an odd number, but I
Yeah.
can yeah. I thought Joe would be great, because of his, familiar background with us. I met with representatives from Florida Power and Light regarding the next round of the franchise fee. This is the last year of the franchise fee that we're under, and it looks like it will stay within that $50,000 range. Over the last few years, it's gone up. As I learned, it's an estimate that we receive, usually the first year's accurate, and then it depends and fluctuates from there. As you know, or if you're watching the news, they are at the state asking for a rate increase. So of course, for full transparency, it's a double-edged sword, because as homeowners, our rates go up. The other side of it is the town's franchise fee goes up, but it's so minimal, it's not necessarily a motivating factor for us. Regarding, building permits, we had 10 permits approved in the month of April, and we had 1 courtesy notice. I want to thank all our residents, for working hard with us. Since December 2024, we've issued 37 courtesy notices, and 32 properties have come into compliance. The ones that aren't have been in communication with us and have been working with us for compliance. 2 other items, we were unable, because we moved the meeting up a week, we were unable to get the financials in the backup. They've now been distributed as well as uploaded to the town's website under agendas. You can see we're at 50% of the year with 43% of our expenses, so we're tracking well. Something that was concerning to me when I first looked at our ad valorem tax revenue, we are, as of the month of March, we were only at 90% of what was expected, and that of course raised a red flag. I went into our account and I saw that in April, a deposit of $257,000 came from the Palm Beach tax collector. With that, which you'll see on next month's report, would bring us to the 97% that we operate at. So that is great. We are at basically full revenue, especially when you look at our building permit revenue as well. We're at 91% for the year. So we are tracking very well financially. And then finally, we did put out a survey at the request of the commission regarding construction on Saturday. As you know, this is our first step as a fact-finding mission. I've distributed to you this morning, by closing out the survey. I wanted to give the residents enough time to chime in on this. And again, with the meeting moving up a week, we were kind of short on time. We had 138 total responses, which is really great when you take into consideration we have 244 households in the community. So we've had a great response rate. I know there will be some public comments about this as we go forward. But what I want to bring your attention to are the comments, the open-ended comments that we allowed starting on page 7. And you can see there's a lot of different feedback, but something that jumped out is going to non-gas powered leaf blowers also came up as a way to address the noise. And then, of course, you have both sides of the issue to keep things the same. Others are to make the changes. I will be looking for direction from the commission on what our next steps should be. With that, I want to share a disclaimer. our code has some strict guidelines on how long it should take to do construction. So if we are going to adjust when construction can take place, we should also look at when the timelines or those critical paths that we require. So I don't think this is necessarily a quick fix, but it's something that we would need to look at together. So I would love if, besides any questions that you have, some direction on the next steps when it comes to understanding, commercial construction and commercial landscaping on Saturdays here in town.
Great. Is that it?
That's it from me.
Sorry, I was reading the open-ended comments.
Mhm.
Can I ask a question here? Or you wanna-
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you, or were you able to have our police force do any?
Yes, sir.
survey of-
Thank you for reminding me. Let me pull up my notes. Do you have them on, you want me to do it? I'll read what we had. Yes, on Saturday, we did an unofficial, survey of the town by our day patrol. And it was reported, that there were 3 active construction sites on Beacon and Shelter, some activity by the North Beach access that caused some congestion, but all roadways were passable. 5 landscape trucks were there most of the day with an additional 3 vehicles with them. There, 1 portable, toilet pumper came into town. And it was pretty lighter than a weekday is what our officer who was on duty reported to us.
Any other comments?
Any other?
Okay. Town clerk reports?
We do not have one. As you know, the town clerk has resigned. We have an interim town clerk who's the records clerk, Carissa Gibbs. She's transitioning into the role and had a conflict with tonight's meeting.
Okay, thank you. Sergeant, anything you'd like to discuss tonight for us?
Yes, there is. Jim Cummings, Sergeant with the Police Department. The chief is out of town. Yes, I wanted to talk about the patrols. The mayor had asked me to break down the patrols by day and night, kind of 6 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock in the morning, and to the two different shifts that we work. First of all, we had overall in the month of April, we had 10,104 patrols, which is the most patrols that we've clocked yet today. Interestingly, the director from the mayor gave me an opportunity to look into our new programs, a fleet management program. And I was certain, of course, that you'd be able to break it down by hours and days and everything, and I found that that's not entirely accurate. So it's given me an opportunity to talk to the fleet management program, programmers over there and to get some different information. The only way that I would be able to take that, I'm gonna have it, by the way, I have a sampling of it tonight, is to download it, I'm finding out, download it into an Excel spreadsheet and then extrapolate the data from there. And so I gotta still create those columns for that anyway. But for example, and this is, I was looking through all of them, I kind of had to do them by hand. They're in the evening shift, which would be 6 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning. Somewhat of an average would be 249 patrols. That would mean that the police officer working during those 12 hours went down 249 streets during the course of the time that he was here. Or she was here now, forgive me, because now we have female police officers. And then during the daytime, which we would expect to be a little lower, was 183 on the little sampling that I did take, which would make sense because during the day, we've got the officers doing different things as well. And the night may not have as much, they'd just be taking some calls that are inside the colony rather than having those, directing traffic, watching the bridge, making sure that kids aren't jumping off the bridge and killing themselves, things like that. That takes up a little bit of time. So I'm hoping, well, I'm not hoping, I know for a fact that we'll do it because I closed out some thoughts with the people that are gonna help me build the spreadsheet anyway today. So I'll have a better handle on that number wise, but that's kind of what you're gonna take a look at. Now, we're fortunate that we're gonna bring on somebody else on the police department, which will bring us up to full staffing. We haven't been there for a while. And so it will give us the opportunity to take our officer and put him back on night. So you'll have somebody, you'll have the regular evening officer, and then there'll be another officer that works from 4 o'clock at night until 2:30 in the morning. So you'll have 2 officers then. So there'll be more patrols at that point too. So we would look forward to having many more patrols in the evening hours than we do during the day shift. So.
Thank you. Any questions, Sergeant?
I have a question, Mayor. Excuse me, Jim, you mentioned, kids jumping off the bridge.
Yes.
Are we responsible for that?
No,
And if we're not, what, is there a recommendation on, like I drove, I think it was yesterday, there were a group of like high school kids right in the middle of the bridge, jumping into the boat channel.
right.
And is there an action that we should take?
When Tequesta is the person that takes the call. Tequesta and Jupiter, both take the calls for we're so close that if one of those towns or both those towns don't have anybody available, they'll ask us to take it, to go. And we don't mind because it clogs the bridge, somebody's gonna get injured, and we know that. So we've worked with the bridge tenders, all three, Tequesta, Jupiter, and the Colony, work with the bridge tenders to call us if there's a problem. Or if we see the kids starting to gather, so that we can attack it right away. We have a detail at Gelona, we're over at the Bureau of Land Management over there. Like, for example, I was there last weekend, one of the days last weekend, as soon as I see the kids starting to come up, drive up and intervene at that point. The only thing that we can do, if we were to give them a ticket, for example, the fine, and don't tell anybody this, because it's only $17. Because with the fine, the law is probably as old as the ink that it was, written with. So what we can do is, you can trespass them and you can move them. So I don't know that there's a better way for us to do it, other than just to constantly work and, kind of scare them off the bridge. And that's really the enforcement that we were gonna take. If there's anybody that has a better idea than dealing with them, I sure would be all ears. Because, the little guys, and gals, they'll swim underneath the bridge. They'll get close to the bridge, and when the bridge opens up, of course, you know how it works, the weights come down. And then the kids will grab onto the weights and we'll pull them up as the bridge is closing. Well, the idea then, of course, is that they let go of the bridge and fall into the water, hopefully. If they don't, they're gonna get squished, so. So the bridge tenders are quick to call us, and then it's a matter of the 3 agencies responding to try to
Well,
get
there's a
them
lot of,
into
a lot of
compliance.
warnings there too.
I'm sorry?
There's a lot of warnings. They've installed a lot of warnings.
Yes, there are, and there's cameras up there now, so I know they're really trying, after, the incident on the Royal Palm Beach Bridge. Remember, there was one of the Palm Beach residents got killed on that bridge, across the state. They started installing cameras on all the bridges, and we were one of the first recipients of that, so.
When does our new officer start?
We're looking at the 9th of this month. She would get onboarded and, and then we'll start the training phase of that.
So we'll be fully staffed.
Then we will be fully staffed.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other comments from the commission or questions of Sergeant Coe? Okay, seeing none, let's move on. The town attorney, you have anything you'd like to discuss tonight?
No report.
Okay, thank you. And commission reports, we'll start with Commissioner Rosner.
Hi, I went and I attended the swearing in of the, one of the new.
It's on, but it's too far away. to
Oh, sorry.
work.
I attended the swearing in of a new town council member over in Jupiter. And I also attended the North County Chamber Connect, which I actually gleaned some really interesting information. It was sponsored by Comcast. Now Comcast will come in and they will actually conduct classes, computer classes, like we could have one at the town hall. If that's something, Heidi might want to look into, I'm just throwing it out there. They also talked about communication, and we also talked about how to deal with the press. So it was, kind of an interaction with other town
other town commissioners and mayors. So it was quite interesting and, gleaned a lot of information. So thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, nothing? Sharon, anything?
Are we going to discuss, the financial situation?
We can certainly do that if you'd like. Because I believe the town manager brought that up in her comments.
Do you mean the history of the loans or our monthly financials?
Well, our monthly financials and the history of the loan and what we're going to do going forward. In working with TD Bank.
Yeah, that's number 8 on the agenda, so we're gonna get to that at number 8. Okay. Nothing further?
No.
Okay. Commissioner.
Yes, there are 2 items. First of which I attended on April 23rd with our town manager to the Palm Beach County League of Cities elected officials workshop. And a lot of good information. I started talking about how elected officials, what our financial ability is, or responsibility is, excuse me, and the liability of our municipality. Talked about different forms of government, how it really works, and basically the message was listen and collaborate. Talked about public information management, how important that is for the town. And then in how to run meetings, civility in public meetings and participation and elected officials are a requirement, and about sunshine law and ethics and disclosure updates. The second item, do we have a handout for everybody?
Yes.
We have a handout for all of the commissioners. Thank you. Well, I ask for your indulgence and appreciate your attendance tonight as I read through this. So it was brought to my attention by our town manager that there's some issues that we need to bring forward and make everybody in the town aware of. So I'm going to read through this. And it involves our town charter, which went in effect back in March of 2024 for the new form of government. Article 3 talks about government and talks about the commission shall have the power to employ and retain an engineer and so forth. The most important parts that are pertinent to my presentation are highlighted that, but all elected officials shall serve in their elected and appointed capacities without compensation or salary. The Palm Beach County Code of Ethics in section 2 -44.3 prohibited conduct. Subsection A, misuse of public office or employment. An official or employee shall not use his or her official position or office or take or fail to take any action or influence others to take or fail to take any action or attempt to do any of these things in a manner which he or she knows or should know with the exercise of reasonable care will result in a special financial benefit not shared with similarly situated members of the general public. Subsection B, corrupt misuse of official position. An official or employee shall not use or attempt to use his or her official position or office or any property or resource which may be within his or her trust to corruptly secure or attempt to secure a special privilege, benefit, or exemption for himself or herself or others. Brings us to the matter at hand. Beginning in August of 2022, the town provided full-time employees with supplemental health insurance and life insurance through combined insurance. Commissioner Rosner appears on the town's invoices from August 2022 to February 2024 for both supplemental health and life insurance. The amount expended by the town for this insurance was $6,017.90. Former Mayor Dan Comerford appears on the town's invoices from August 2022 to July 2023 for supplemental health insurance. The amount expended by the town for this insurance, for former Mayor Comerford, was $4,314.44. Even though Commissioner Rosner made a partial reimbursement of $3,534.24 through two separate personal checks of $824.28 on September 14, 2022, and $2,709.96 on February 23rd, 2023. The use of the town benefits was not allowed by any elected official per the town charter. Section 2.02 of the current town charter. Forfeiture of office. A member of the commission may forfeit the office if the member, and there's 5 different points, the most relevant to this discussion. Number 4 is if the commissioner is found to have violated any standard of conduct or code of ethics established by law for public officials. And then under subsection 5, the pertinent section is, if any of these events should occur, a hearing shall automatically be conducted at the next regularly scheduled commission meeting, and the member may be declared to have forfeited office by majority vote of the commission. The commission shall be the sole judge of the qualifications of its members and shall hear all questions relating to forfeiture of a commission member's office, including whether good cause for absence or has been or may be established. The commission shall have the power to set additional written standards of conduct for its members beyond those specified in this charter, and may provide for such penalties as it deems appropriate, including forfeiture of office. In order to exercise these powers, the commission have power to subpoena witnesses, administer oaths, and require the production of evidence. Section 6.01, Code of Ethics of the current town charter. It is essential to the proper conduct and operation of the town that the officers and employees of the town be independent and impartial, and for their offices not to be used for private gain other than the remuneration provided by law or by its ordinances. It is declared to be the policy of the town that its officers and employees are agents of the people and hold their positions for the benefit of the public. Therefore, all town officers and employees shall adhere to the standards of conduct as provided in Part 3 of Chapter 112 or statutes as amended, the Palm Beach County Code of Ethics as amended, and other applicable Florida law. The packet which each of the commissioners and our town attorney have has detail from the insurance company of the transactions. It has the canceled checks from Commissioner Rosner and all of the support that led me to making sharing this with the commission and with our town. So I would defer to you, Mayor, and to Bill as to our next steps.
Thank you, commissioners. Is there anything else you have to report on?
Yes, sir.
Town Attorney Doney, the charter is clear. According to our charter, we are to have what appears to be at our next regularly scheduled meeting. I guess a hearing on this issue, would that be correct?
Well, I think the question is this, and it's not exactly clear, but there has been a complaint filed with the Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics.
Okay,
And the charter provides that Commissioner Corporate's office, if it is found to have violated any standard or conduct or code of ethics, it's my opinion that the code of ethics procedure must take place. If there is a finding of an ethical violation, then it would come back to the commission for that hearing.
okay. I noticed under section 202 of the current town charter says clearly violates any express prohibition of this charter. How could you make an argument that did not occur in this case? I mean, at least the evidence, and obviously the hearing would occur next month, and the commissioner can certainly make a case as to why, but section 2.2 sub 2 is very clear. I understand what you're saying with respect to the code of ethics, but if any of these events should occur, it doesn't say, it doesn't, at least the way I read it, it does not say we have to wait for the Commission of Ethics to have it. So
Yeah,
what would you say to that?
Yeah, I can agree with that under number 2. And I imagine you're looking at the 6.01 as being the express violation. So, I mean, it could proceed on that basis.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sitting here having a conversation with you. I don't know what the rest of the commissioners have an opinion on that, or what your reading is. I've expressed, a view, so I'll let others express their views. So everybody has any other views.
I think I would agree with you that the standards here seem to imply that next commission meeting would be an opportune time to address this. Pending also into the future would be the code of ethics findings. That would be your moot point, or
Yeah, I think that evidence shows that there has to be a hearing regardless of how the committee on ethics comes down on this.
Okay. Is there any other comments?
I have been contacted by the ethics committee. Actually, I contacted them right away. And I have also been to the state's attorney's office, and I've also been to the IG. So their interpretation of this is a little bit different, but I'm just going to reserve that I do have an interview, and will have one, with the ethics committee. And there's more to this than what you all know. And so I'm just going to reserve at that. Thank you.
Thank you. There seems to be 3 of us that are leaning towards having a hearing next month where the commissioner can present her case and her evidence. And I think that's the direction I think we're going to give the town staff and the town attorney, if I'm not mistaken. I think we have 3 commissioners. Sharon, do you have anything you would like to add?
No, I don't have enough information to make a comment.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We'll close out the, I do not have a report, so we'll finish the commission staff reports. And we'll move on to public comment. I have a couple of cards. I'm just going to call your name. When I call your name, please step to the podium and you will have 3 minutes to talk about anything you would like to talk about. Bill Whiteford, you will lead.
6.
Yeah, but that's all right. You can speak now. You'll have just 3 minutes now.
here to speak on item 6 on the agenda, which, as you know, it's, oops, sorry, item 6. Got it? Nope.
One more, just, you gotta get pretty close
I
to
got
it.
it. I got it. Item 6, it's a contract with a competing firm to provide planning and zoning services here in town. And I'm here tonight, of course, for a couple reasons. One is, first and foremost, is to not burn any bridges. I'm not here and interested in doing that. I'm going to walk out that door with my head held high, regardless of what decision is made here tonight. But the real reason I'm here is because, in fact, if I didn't show up, if I were not here, I didn't want anybody to have any shadow of doubt in their mind that I didn't care. I'm here because I care. And if I wasn't here, you might think otherwise, and I didn't want that to happen. So first and foremost, to the commission and to the residents, I really want to express my deep gratitude and thanks for the last 5 going on 6 years of the opportunity to work here in the town. I'm very fond of the town, folks here in the town. I think we've accomplished good things, and I look forward to doing that at some point in the future if that opportunity presents itself again. But again, I just really wanted to say thank you, and again, to let you know that I express my gratitude. I'm here because I care, and I hope to do so again at some point in the future. So thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Bill, and you've provided us, you know, great service to the town, you and your staff, you kept us in compliance with our comp plan, which is often difficult to understand, and the day-to-day needs for our planning and zoning and the construction and the ongoing construction renovation that's gone on in this community over the last 6 years, and I want to thank you for your professionalism and what you have done on behalf of all the residents for the town.
Well, I appreciate that, and thank you, and I would have to give a shout out first to Earl and Russell, who were the longtime chairman of the committee while I was on serving as your staff. They really deserve a lot of credit, as does everybody on the committee who has, current and past, given their time freely to the community. They really don't get enough credit. They do a great service for the community, and I would like to make sure they get acknowledged as well. The one and only thing I would ask, Mr. Mayor, and if that's possible, is a clean break, a clean cut in my services. Our agreement is a mutual of 30 days notice, but I think that by mutual acceptance, we can agree on perhaps something different. Under the circumstances with potentially a new firm coming on board here in a minute or two, or this evening, just to go ahead and make that break, make it clean, and let me just walk away.
Yeah, and I would encourage you to work with the town manager on that, and if if essentially what you're asking for is sooner than 30 days, can that be worked out, or?
In our staff report, I know we're kind of getting ahead of the
Right,
item, but
okay.
in our staff report, we actually asked for 60 because we wanted to make sure that we have active projects and that the handoff was more advantageous to the residents, but you know, we'll respect any wishes from the.
Okay, I'm just gonna defer you to Heidi to work out the details. If contractually you've got 30 days, I think that's gonna be at least the bare minimum. Sounds like we wanted 60, maybe there's somewhere in between there that you could work with us on.
Are you asking Bill for more time or
Oh, no, last time.
less?
I just think under the circumstances, it would be best. You have a new firm coming on board. One of the issues that is mentioned in the report is economic. If you have an issue with cost for services, having 2 firms, one at the same time from the same line item, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So we would agree, if it was mutually acceptable to the community, to just cut ties and hand over the reins and let the next folks carry on.
If I can address this during the item, I think it would be.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Bill. Brian?
Hi, everyone. I think I know most everybody, but I'm Fran Whiter, married in 55 Colony for those that I may not have met. Just a couple of comments and one question. Mr. Mayor, you can answer the question at the end. The only question I've got is whether or not you can comment on any of the lawsuits, and specifically on the case of Freeman, whether we're still paying him and why.
The answer to that, I can't comment. No, no one can.
Okay.
And in terms of payment, I'll defer to Heidi.
Mr. Mayor, we are still paying him per direction from our attorney, our lawsuit attorney.
Well, I won't follow them. The next is relative to the north walk, and this is in the context of the new walk, and I think I'm an agenda item ahead. You may be answering my question, but as those of you who may use the north walk know, it's really not usable most of the time. It's wet in the morning, it's wet at night, and it's also not comfortable, which everybody has known for 2 years. And trip down memory lane, for those of you who weren't here then, we sort of agreed at one of Dan's last commission meetings. This goes back a couple of years, that we were going to fix the north walk in the context of maybe it was going to be the access to the beach and for sand projects. That, I guess that's not going to happen. So I'm just asking the commission not to delay if you're going to go forward with the other situation. But if you do, let's make sure that we don't use the same material that's rendered the north walk unusable, because that's basically what it is. And lastly, this is broken record time from the commission's planning session. I brought it up once, but it wasn't a commission meeting, so I'll bring it up one more time. And I'll ask the commission to do something with this or say, no, we won't. And that is to simply revisit whether 15 months later, it's now too late to ask lot 11 and 12 for a contribution to the $600,000 that we've spent on sand to the total benefit of those lots. As I said, at the planning commission, I've used 2 different artificial intelligence models, loaded them with the Florida coastal zoning laws, and asked, very basic questions, which was a determination of fault, which is very hard to determine, but at the very least, and it isn't too late, according to the computers, it isn't too late 14 months later, because if I sort of suspect if Heidi was here at that time, we would have had an agreement with all homeowners affected, and the determination of who paid would have not necessarily been all town. So I'll just leave it to you to ask you to take another look at it. Thank you.
Thank you. Butch?
Yeah.
Yes, good evening. My name is Butch Harper. My wife and I live at 124 Lighthouse Drive. Commissioners, ladies, gentlemen, Ms. Heidi Siegel and Mr. Doney and Jim Simmons. As I understand it, our rules of procedure does not allow discussion of items by citizens brought forth to the commission after the public comment section of a regular commission meeting has occurred. If this is a public meeting, I believe it would be to the benefit of all to allow at least a singular question from the audience regarding any new topic raised in this forum by either citizens or council members. I think one should always be able to respectfully answer or ask a question to clarify a particular issue regarding the current position under discussion that we had not seen. That was, I thought, the purpose of a town meeting. So respectfully, that's what I'm asking, and I'll in my comment.
Thank you. And just for the record, during public hearings on agenda items, the public will be asked to comment. Where, like, by way of example, tonight, there's a couple of discussion items. Well, those discussion items are for us to discuss. It's not an HOA meeting where everybody gets a hand to say, do you want to discuss it? If you want to talk to one of us about one of the items, you can talk to us at any time outside of this meeting about that. But there are certain items that we have to ask for public comment on. But when it says discussion, it's very clearly a discussion amongst the council to give direction to staff. If you don't like it, don't like what we're talking about, you don't like the outcome, you can always call us, you can see us around the neighborhood. Jay's not shy and contacted anybody. on certain items, and rightfully so. You should have access to all of your public officials, and you should all have the ability to talk to us and tell us your opinion. But there are times during a public meeting that that's not welcomed. It's really that simple. So the agenda is pretty clear. If the discussion's discussed amongst us, if it's a public item, you will be asked to comment on it. Jay, speaking of which.
Thank you. Jay Getchus, 193 Shelter. I want to, I guess, on the platform deck, in terms of the inlet or the intercoastal, just on that topic, I would hope that the commission considers amending the materials in terms of the seating, but also the layout. The layout in the North Walk is not conducive to anyone right now. It was too much seating, doesn't allow people to get by, whether it's a dog or a wheelchair. So let's not make the same mistake twice. But I want to thank the commission for putting out the survey regarding the no work on Saturdays. You know, I work full time. Saturday is a day that, just like Sunday, I enjoy the peace and quiet. It is also a day that I now, as an empty nester, welcome my children back, and those days are precious. I've had the luxury, or I said misery, of working through or living through 4 years of construction on shelter. And I just want to make a few comments on the survey. You will see, commissioners, that the vote overwhelmingly was to have no commercial construction on Saturdays throughout the year and no landscaping. You will also see the last two questions that those disparities are not as prevalent. But I did want to point out that if you look at the number of votes, I think most people that voted for no construction, which were approximately 70 people, and no landscaping, by the time you get to the last couple of questions, it's almost, they dropped off. So if you look at the difference, it's significantly different. So you don't have the same amount of votes in the end. So I hope you take a greater weight to the real question. And that is, the majority of people say no work on Saturdays, no commercial work, landscaping, or construction. I also want to make a point that for those that say it's going to lengthen the construction period, and it's interesting that you did a survey for Saturday, that's interesting, but you might want to do a survey for during the week and see how many empty lots during construction sites there are. There are many. And if a contractor can't work on Saturday, they can amend their schedule. And I would statistically probably prove to you that it's not going to change the timelines. The other thing I want to point out is for those that said, oh, I can't have a contractor come to my house on the weekend. That's not true. If you need estimates, you come in, and Saturday, I'm not suggesting you have no one be able to come on Saturday. I'm not even suggesting no work on Saturday. If someone's able to do painting inside or something like that, that's fine. But I just point out that there are ways to get this done without increasing prices and with furthering our enjoyment of our community. And I hope that we can move, now that we have a survey, to some action plan. I'm glad we got public comments, but we're still doing nothing right now, but thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Tracy?
It's unusual to be near the microphone. It sounds very formal, because I'm much more informal, and I think that's one of the things that makes our town wonderful. So my comments are very small potatoes. I simply wanted to say that being a cookie cutter town has been definitely decided what we don't want to be. Because Heidi had that wonderful survey and everybody said, no, architecture should be whatever it is. In the past, we've decided, no, everybody could have a post office box the way they wanted it, or at the East Street. But what I was really sad about was that before I left to go to Europe for a while, I was contacted and told my driveway and my roof were dirty. Well, now, some of my aged friends had already had that comment, and they were very upset. I'm not the sort that gets upset over that, but, you know, we learned cleanliness is godliness, and we want to be clean and neat and orderly. So I did say that I rather felt that our roof was not visible from the street. That has since been definitely decided is true. But it made me think that maybe we're getting cookie cutter. And that we don't want to live in a town where there's an edict and it goes around and it's for everybody. We're all individuals and we all have our own vision of what's neat and orderly and what is a mess and dirty. And certainly a driveway that's filled with horrible greasy stains and things like that is quite disgusting. But you know what else is bad about driveways? White, slick. It reflects the sun. It makes our town hotter. So a little bit of nature's depositing to mitigate that, and we can have a natural aspect. So I'm totally ready to comply, but I do say, let's not slide ourselves into the idea that we have to be very, very strict about all the little details of how things look. We've had a wonderful town for how many years now? I can't remember, 50? Not quite.
65.
But I think we do a pretty good job. And I think we don't have to have the rules and regs that say in or out, good or bad. There's a middle way. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda that will approve the minutes from April 12th, 2025 workshop and the April 14th regular meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
They approved 5-0. I'll refer 6 to town manager. Do you want to give a brief overview of what we're asking to vote on tonight?
Yes, if you recall, during our strategic planning session, we talked about moving forward and the future of the town, and there was some general consensus about looking at everything from pricing to procedures of how we did business. I am making a recommendation that we go with Chenmore and Associates for general planning services. Our purchasing code allows us to go directly and not out to bid for these type of direct services. The town budgets generally, at least this past fiscal year, 90,000. We get billed at 250 to 350, depending on the task that's being completed. Chenmore is going to come in with our primary principal planner at $140 with, I'm sorry, the senior planner, and with the lead being at 240. I believe with us having upcoming code changes and kind of tightening up our procedures, this is an excellent opportunity to pivot. As I mentioned earlier in the discussion I have in my staff report, I would like to extend instead of shorten any transition period. It doesn't mean necessarily that there will be projects to be worked on, but we want to make sure that there's no hiccups as we have projects that are midstream being reviewed right now at the building permit level, and that we are able to continue going forward with it and not to the detriment of our residents who are investing in their properties. I also believe that there are records, town records, public records, information that we want to work on and make sure that we have. So I would like to, and I don't necessarily need the town commission permission to go more than 30 days. The contract says 30 days. It's my intention to kind of make this as seamless as possible. The planners from Chenmore and Associates could not be here tonight with the change in the meeting schedule. They had another commitment, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, any questions from the commission, the staff?
How much money are we saving?
I don't know. It depends on every month to month, and the types of applications we get in. Since I've been here, I've seen monthly bills go as high as $10,000, which seems very high to, most recently at 2,500.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of hard to answer that question because it's really depending upon level of activity from a building permit and from a comp planning standpoint, really. And these costs aren't borne by general tax, ad valorem tax revenues. These costs are reimbursed by applicants who do building permits with the exception of the comp planning.
To some degree, yes, and to some degree, no. Our building and zoning application fee is 2,500. There are times when there are applications, like the month that I had a $10,000 bill, that it definitely goes over that. So I'm not, it's not fully reimbursable. Most of the building permit fees per Florida statute have to go towards the building officials work, not necessarily the zoning work. So that 2,500 is supposed to cover us soup to nuts.
I got you.
There are other models out there where we do direct cost reimbursement for zoning, and as I continue to get a better handle on how we're spending our money, and we might look at that, but the truth is I think it's tightening up the process, which I've tried to do over the last several months.
Okay, any other, Dave, Commissioner Shirley, you had a question, I believe?
No, I just wondered if Heidi would mind sharing with our audience that your research and it's always great to save money, but we need quality work. And maybe some of the reasons that you feel confident that this firm's reputation and that the people that will be involved with zoning issues with the town are gonna give us the kind of quality that we would like to.
Sure, so the team that, we're looking at, while Chenmore is a larger firm, over 100 people on staff, the planning shop is actually, it's a local firm. They were bought out by the bigger firm. The owner just wanted less day-to-day business and to get back into the planning side of it. Her name is Nielsa, and she specializes in small towns. She's done a lot of work for Tequesta, Jupiter, North Palm, I believe Juno Beach as well, but a lot of small towns around us and is familiar with the area. Something that I noticed coming on board, and as you all know, my background is not just in city management, but also city planning, was there seemed to be a lot of procedural issues going on and a lot of histrionics going back and forth. And an application is an application that should be reviewed on its merits and go in front of the board, and not a lot of horse trading behind the scenes. I don't think that is fair to the board nor the neighbors. And I think there's just an opportunity for us to move forward with a clean slate here.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
And if I can just wrap that up, so it feels tense in the room a little. I've been fully transparent with our current planning firm and have shared these concerns all along since I've been here.
So you want a motion to approve this?
I mean, I guess you're just really looking for direction.
No, this would be a
Resolution.
Motion.
this is it's not a resolution, it's just an approval of the agreement with Chenmore, and then we'll enter into a legal
Alright.
agreement with them.
So I guess the general direction is to direct Heidi to execute the contract for general planning services with the new firm Chenmore. Does the commission agree with that?
Sure.
We have a motion.
Okay, so we want to make a motion. Bill, is that the proper way? Just make a motion and approve?
Yeah, have a motion
Alright.
to enter into an agreement with Chenmore.
Okay, so Marie, you made that motion?
I'll make the motion to go with Chenmore.
Okay, second.
Second.
Sharon seconds, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nothing. Motion passes 5-0. All right, number 7, discussion from town engineer regarding the observation deck.
So we have Bert King from Kinley Horn here today. You have in your backup, plans that show the observation deck.
Yeah.
One of the discussion items that I heard from the community, so I just want to share it with the commission, and I've discussed with Bert, is the idea of not putting seating in, at the time of construction and allow it to be a flexible space. And then maybe go back and readdress that. From a budgetary standpoint, in this year's fiscal budget, we are budgeted $150,000. We approved the design and construction management contract with Kinley Horn for $51,000. So we have roughly $99,000, $100,000 for construction ahead of us, based on what we have budgeted, and we won't know if that's what it should be until the bids come in.
Okay, do you want to go through them real quick, and is that your intention to show us the plans? You want to walk through the plans? There seems to be.
There seems to be some concern over materials too, so maybe you can address the materials. And if you feel comfortable tonight, given that we obviously you heard what the town manager said in terms of remaining funds to build the observation deck. If maybe you could provide professional opinion on the cost to construct.
Yes, absolutely.
Because the cost to construct the beach walkovers were pretty substantial, like in the $300,000 range, I think.
$300,000 for both combined, yes, correct.
Yeah, so if you could start there, that'd be great.
Yep. So our intent was to maximize the space in that corridor. It is a 20-foot parcel. But due to the way the existing fencing is on the north and south side, it's not perfectly within that 20 feet. So there's really about 18 feet to work with. So we went with a 12-foot wide deck. And then from there, with a 3-foot landscape buffer on both sides, that would account for the full 18 feet. 18 feet wide was what we thought was adequate based on the existing beach decks on the north and south side. And then in terms of the elevation, we noted that the mangroves, or the surveyor noted at least, are around an elevation of 7 feet. So we put the bottom of the deck that proposed 5 feet. That would place the top of the handrail at about 8.5 feet. So over the mangroves. And I would say the average person's eyesight would likely be 5.5 feet above the 5 feet, so about 3.5 feet above the mangroves.
I have a question. Is this all in the water or is some of this on land?
This is fully on land behind the mangroves. The intent as well is to keep the mangroves in place, both from a beauty perspective, but also in terms of keeping the privacy of the access to the deck to the town.
I don't think we can destroy the mangroves anymore, so
No,
that's off the deck, that's off the.
But you can
So
build
why do
on
you sink it so far into the ground? Then? Couldn't you just put it on the ground? You have to have those other support.
So that is the existing grade line. So the walkway is at about elevation 4, and then closer to the mangroves, but closer to about elevation 2.
Surface drops, the water.
So it is over the water,
No,
over the mangrove.
can you go back to slide? Water line.
Yeah, we're about 8 feet east of the mangroves.
Okay.
What's the material?
The material, so the piles are timber and the main structural members are all timber, but the decking is proposed to be composite decking, wear deck, which is what was constructed on the north and south beach walkways.
And it's in here, these, Heidi, this plan shown with benches, but it seems like we want the bench removed, is that right?
I heard that from the community, and I think that's a great recommendation for now, but I'll defer to you all as you are the end users.
Okay.
An idea on the cost changing out the, I'll call it real wood versus the plastic wood?
Minimal,
So we
I would
could go
say-
that direction without impacting our budget.
yes.
All right, is there any other questions from the commission?
Mayor, if I can have a follow-up to Vice
Of course.
Mayors, just because I think so what about the maintenance and the longevity of going from the composite material to wood? That's my concern.
I think if it's similar, I think over time, I think to the touch and to the feel, the areas that, that like along the handrail, it's likely ideal to be composite decking. You're like less likely to have splinters, things of that nature.
If we don't have benches, then at this point, the surface of the deck wouldn't matter any as far as the real wood versus the plastic wood.
Yes.
My understanding.
Not quite true, because it gets slippery, the
Slippery.
composite.
Right, that's where I was going to, Russell.
Sorry,
Thank
pardon
you.
me.
So that would be the one thing that we would have to worry about then, would be the lower decking, so that it doesn't provide that slippery, and of course, including the up ramp, because there's definitely a slope, which would also provide that potential.
Right.
And I've spoken to you before, so I'm gonna give you a chance to answer here. The north and south decks, I've got half the amount of pilings. Would that also save us some money if we went to this, what has been used for those decks built by DEP?
All right, so there are a couple of factors that drove us to increase the number of piles. One of the main ones, so when determining the number of piles, the amount of surface, when you have the size of the deck, and based on that size, there's a total surface area that the piles have to cover in order to prevent uplift of the deck. Now, you can achieve this multiple ways. In terms of the beach walkways, we went with very deep piles, and we got the surface area that way. Over here, the intent was, you have a beautiful paver walkway, you have beautiful landscaping. We don't want to impact that with construction. So we proposed the piles to be no deeper than 6 feet. At 6 feet, they can be hand dug, which would prevent any heavy machinery from going back that way. And also overall, I mean, the Florida Building Code has been updated since the other decks have been built, so it's a little bit stricter. And overall, the more piles you have, I would say the sturdier the structure will be compared to the beach walkways, which may be more susceptible to wave action.
Right, if you were to reduce the number of 6-foot embedded pilings, and do deeper pilings, would it be cheaper or more expensive?
Likely more expensive, I'd say a lot more expensive, because a lot more restoration on the path. You'd still have to pay for heavy equipment.
For equipment.
Yeah, the heavy dewatering that would have to take place.
Any other questions?
So, but if we just go to 6 feet, is that a long lasting solution that we get a high tide from a surge from a hurricane and?
This will be a very sturdy structure. Yes, that is the intent, is to withstand heavy storms and flooding as well. And part of the reason the FEMA flood elevation is 5 feet, that's also the elevation of the deck. So theoretically should be over the 100-year flood elevation.
But you're not making the representation that this thing will survive any type of hurricane.
Category 5, can't make any promises, but a lot more sturdy than the beach decks for sure.
Did I understand you to say that the life of the composite versus the life of the wood would be about the same?
About the same.
And the cost would be about the same?
About the same.
So why wouldn't we go with a composite? That's curious. Where it doesn't get.
Okay. Any other discussions? Heidi, any comments? No, okay. What is the pleasure of the commission at this time in terms of direction?
I would recommend that we go with 6 feet, we go with wood and.
Okay.
Benches? The discussion on the benches?
Yeah, benches are the benches.
And
No, sorry, question. The north walkway, how wide is that? Are there north platform, you know?
I believe it's 11'6", so this is very equivalent, 12 feet here,
So it'd be 12 feet without the benches.
including the benches, the walkway itself in between.
No. The north walkway with the benches. How wide is it between from edge of the beach bench?
The walking area.
4 feet.
No.
Or, yeah, 4 feet.
the whole deck.
But you have the footrest and you have the
They-
seat. The feet are probably 4, the seats are probably 6. And the deck is probably 12, whatever.
Actually, yeah, 6 feet. The benches are 6 or 3 feet wide.
6 feet. So what we're saying is that without any benches, it would be 12 feet long.
Yes,
So that if we wanted to come back and put benches in there later on, we would.
we could. And in the meantime, you could put the 2 existing benches that are at the end of the walkway, on top of the deck.
Any other comments or direction?
I think it would be good to kind of do both, a little bit of the composite in certain areas, and then the handrails, use composite, and then the others, the splinter beams, you think? Is that what brought up? The benches is out there, I'm just talking about the handrails, because that was the generator before anything.
Okay, Joel, you have any? You're good, are you good with Dave's, or are you good with Dave's recommendation? I'm just trying to build a consensus here, that's all.
Okay, if we're not gonna do any benches, then, yep, that's fine. I think like we were talking about, we need to make sure that it's wood, so it's not slippery. So we got most utility out of it. With no benches, everybody's gonna be bringing their own seats with them, which will be dry, I assume. So, yeah.
Okay, all right, so here's a recommendation. One is, first off, we're not authorizing construction tonight, so that's not gonna happen. But what we can authorize, and I think is realistic, is to put this out to bid and bring it back to us to see what the cost is going to be. I think it should be bid out in 2 ways. One, as you have it on the plans with benches, put it in wood, because that seems to be the general consensus here. And then, build, the second bid should be without the benches, and then we'll make a decision based on where we are from a budgetary standpoint, because we all have budgets and we have to live with the budget that we've adopted for this project. And we'll see where we are relative to actual bids to what has been budgeted, and we'll make a decision based on that. We have other pending items from a financial standpoint that we've got to make sure that we're covered on, and we'll make a decision based on that. Does that sound generally acceptable to everybody? Okay, good. All right, so you had your direction. Thank you for coming tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Bert.
Well done, Bert.
Yeah.
Okay, next item, yes. Discussion of the town loan. I guess I'm gonna hand this off to Heidi to give a general overview on some of the work that's been done relative to our loans with TD Bank.
Most of those loans were for the infrastructure project.
So in your backup, at the request of the commission, is a timeline as well as all the loan documents and related resolutions that went to the town commission. As I've stated in the past, we did not have knowledge of a verbal understanding between TD Bank and the town that the loan rate was based on us having our deposits basically with them. That was never disclosed to us by the
And just so
bank.
it's clear, it was between the former mayor Comerford and TD Bank. A verbal agreement exists to put our operating accounts with TD, with the understanding that they would underwrite the loans at those rates.
Correct. The loan, the promissory notes that were signed by the town do include what we call a put option, which is the ability for the bank to call the loans in. When I first came on board, as I've shared in the past with the commission, is I tried to get with TD Bank and they were not very forthcoming with meeting with me for various reasons. And it was not until a March 14th meeting that I had a presentation with them, and that presentation is in your backup, that they said if the town remains with TD Bank with their deposit accounts, they will not call the loans. But the problem is we've already made the decision to move our banking relationship because we were not getting the customer service that we thought we should get, as well as we were not getting a return on our operating account nor our money market. If you recall, we're at a 3% with Synovus. that was presented to the commission in October. We, basically operated at a 1.7 to 2.1 now then within our TD Bank structure with really no return on our operating. That was our money market where we had some money sitting. So the decision was made by the commission based on our recommendation, based on a review of the loan documents, as I reported back in October. The town attorney actually questioned, this requirement, asked to see the agreements. I, went through with him everything that I saw, and nothing in those written agreements required us to stay with TD Bank. So that brings us to where we are today. The smaller loan, which is the undergrounding loan, which we have 2 years left on. We just made an April 1st payment, so we have April 1st, 2026 and April 1st, 2027 to make 2 final payments. These are all paid through assessment. They have been called in to be due on April 1st, 2026. I'm confident that we can cover this through the assessment and our reserve. It would be something we would have to look at through our budgeting process now to cover it. As long as we can make sure we're also meeting the requirement that you can't use ad valorem taxes for it. So there's some, things we need to look into, from a legal standpoint. The town would be reimbursed for the assessment shortly after that when we start collecting October 1st, 2026 for the 2027 assessment. So it would be like a short-term bridge loan from the town to the town, for that one. The other one, we expect them to call it in this December. I already have met with Synovus as well as our financial consultant, our CFO, Yvonne. We've met with them. They feel that they can provide us with something, and we are expecting a preliminary term sheet from them in the near future. So we have some time because we would get the letter in December, but it would not be called until December 2026. So we have some time to go out and, if we're not happy with the terms that they gave us, to go out to bid for loans. And I want to kind of finish my report on that statement. It was very telling to me during the Synovus meeting when they ended it with, if you choose not to take a loan out with us, that is okay. In fact, I recommend that you consider going out to bid. It does not impact our banking relationship. And that to me says the big difference between our relationship with TD Bank and Synovus. We are not being held hostage by a long-term package.
We just have a question. What's the difference in the interest rates with the new bank versus what TD Bank charges you for the loan?
No idea.
Someone said that TD Bank is 33.5% and the new loan would be 7.4%.
I haven't seen a term sheet, so if they've gotten a term
You
sheet
must
before me,
have access to information none of us have.
maybe that's why
We haven't seen anything.
It's from the former mayor.
Okay.
Okay,
No, we have the terms of.
The existing rates we do, but the new rates we don't. So if you believe that we're gonna get an interest rate of 33 and a third percent, I would find that.
No, I didn't say, I said
Unbelievable.
7.4.
Interest rate on the one today.
Yeah, we have that. Do you have that in the report?
absolutely. It's in the.
3.86 is one,
Yeah,
and the other one is something else.
I don't want to misspeak. The smaller loan that is being called is at a 3 point, no, I'm sorry, let me get to the next page. The smaller loan that's being called in is at a 2.37. The larger, loan is at, 2.94 and 3.19. However, something, looking at my notes, also reminds me, the smaller loan, there was about half of the years we would have a shortfall on it. And that was the promissory note we entered into. So we were never fully covered through the assessment on the loan.
Yeah, so no decision's been made on refinancing or this is just for informational purposes. We're waiting for the note to be put to us officially. The smaller note, we should have no issue with. If we get the notice on the larger note. Synovus will provide us a term sheet. We will also get a term sheet from other lending institutions to benchmark that. We will hire bond counsel and we will make a decision in the future. But tonight, this is really more informational. We don't have all of the answers in terms of what it's going to be, what the term, because we don't have any term sheets. We have no idea what it's going to be. We don't know what the interest rate's gonna, interest rate environment is going to be. Everyone can forecast and turn over their tea leaves and guess, but until we get that term sheet, that's when the rubber.
Very good.
And just to be clear, there's no 7% out, that I've never heard that. I
Yeah,
just
no.
want to be clear that that's,
But we do have the term sheet with TD.
Yeah, and those rates, we just gave the interest rates for all three of those notes to the public, so they all know what we are paying from an interest rate perspective. So yes, that was just provided.
And that loan's ability to borrow is still on the table till they call the loan. And they're calling the loan because we are not honoring our relationship in terms of keeping deposits in the bank.
Yeah, well, that's their case. And again, the former mayor entered into a verbal agreement, which none of that is in any of our loan documents, and no one knew about that.
It is in the loan document.
no, we have to keep our reserve accounts with them, but we do
The
not have
operating
to keep our
accounts.
deposit.
We're talking about operating accounts.
And there is an email from their loan officer that says that they're losing money on us.
Right. So,
But this is the relationship, the terms are in place. We could have Mark Raymond come and help us negotiate with them.
Mark Raymond's retired, but I have gotten, from our surrounding communities, names of other bond counsel. Mr. Donny, of course, can speak for himself, but he's spoken to people on his firm that work as bond counsel as well.
I think we have to be very, very careful with our relationship with TD Bank.
okay, thank you. Any other comments? Is everybody kind of clear with where we are with loan documents? So I want to make sure that everyone understands there's nothing that we need to do now.
No, but people have to understand that there's a put option and they are about to exercise it.
Yes, and that was very clear.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, Heidi, thank you. And if there's further inquiry by anybody, get with Heidi, get with any one of us. We're happy to chat and some further detail about it. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded, all in favor, aye. Okay, the motion passes 5-0. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Okay.